Hello, this is demonstration number 2 of exploring line with a variety of drawing implements and then paint. So I think understanding your materials and what they can do for you is super important. The more you know your materials, moving forward, you kind of have a catalog in your head and you can draw on that and bring those different materials to your work. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to use all these different drawing implements here and see what kind of lines they make. I'm going to start with a ballpoint pen. And all I'm doing is lines kind of randomly across the page. So this is something when you go to the art store, you'll see people have scribbled all over the furniture, or now they're starting to put paper pads out because it's important to test the materials. So pencil, I can use the point of it. If I use the side of it, I'm going to get a wider, softer line. So that's what I want you to do is just, you can use whatever you find in your house, in your space. Here comes Sharpie. That is going to be much more graphic line than some of these others. And I'm choosing to go pretty much just straight with them. We will be getting into, pattern. Okay, this is a acrylic marker, a Posca pen. And what's great about this, you're just playing with your lines. It's very non-threatening, just experiencing what these different drawing implements can do. This is a charcoal pencil. Now I'm going to use the side of it. Again, get a wider line. I have a different charcoal pencil that's a darker line, so I'm going to try that. I can smudge it with my finger. When I add water, it's going to become like a paint. What else I got here? This is a China marker, which is the equivalent of a wax crayon. So you're creating a little menu or catalog of these different drawing implements. I do not like regular crayons. This one I really like. It's really smooth and kind of creamy. Regular crayons, I don't know. It's just, they're not smooth. Okay, there's that. I also have, this is a water-soluble graphite stick. You can use the tip of that. I can use the flat of it. Okay, then I grabbed this. Someone gave this to me. I think it's for sewing. It's this little wheel. I don't expect you to have these things, but I thought I'm just going to do this. So if I push on there, it's going to create a line with these dots. And my hope is when I add some wet paint to this, it's going to seep into those dots. We'll see. I'm just experimenting. Forgetting what this thing is called. Okay. Oh, you could use a highlighter. Just using what's on my desk. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to use a damp brush. I'm going to activate some of this water-soluble graphite and charcoal pencil. I'm just using a damp brush. And that's very satisfying with the water-soluble graphite. It activates it. The line becomes more intense. Same with the other charcoal pencil. Here, let me get a finer brush. Okay, then in the areas that are wet, I can also come back in and draw into the wet areas with my charcoal pencil, and it becomes like a paint. That is really fun to play with. So I'm just seeing what all these materials can do. Okay, now I'm going to incorporate some paint. I'm going to try, I've been playing with these acrylic inks. I'm going to do, which are transparent. I'm going to do an acrylic ink, and I'm going to do a golden, what is this, high flow acrylic, which is more transparent. And then I'm going to do an opaque golden acrylic. We'll see what the difference is with all of those. Okay, and I've changed my mind here. I know this isn't really a line. I'm going to do some splattering with a toothbrush, but I'm doing it in a line. Do not expect you to do all of these things. It's just these are all different ideas. Going to do a little bit of brushwork here. Okay, now I'm going to go on to my high flow. And then when you get to brushes, you're playing with different shapes and sizes. So here's a flat brush. So if I go that way, I get the width of the brush. If I do the edge and I go sideways, I get a thinner line. If I use the side over here, I get a thinner line. So that's 3 surfaces with that one brush to play with. I also like having just kind of a ratty paintbrush. And I'm just going to, you know what, I'm going to mix those two. Let's just see what I get there. I'm going to mix ochre. That was a yellow ochre, and then that neon pink. That makes kind of a nice orange, and this just ratty old house brush. And if I whisk it across quickly, I get a brushier line. So it's not about the expense of the brush. It's about, is the tool giving you the mark that you want? Okay. Now I'm going to bring in this opaque phthalo blue, which will be a nice contrast to that warm paint there. I'm going to use my silicone paintbrush, not adding any water here, and I hold it down at a low 45-degree angle, and that paint will glide right off the silicone paintbrush. Okay, now something fun to play with. If I can find it here. Here's my angled palette knife. I can carve into that paint to expose some of the mark making below the surface. It's got a narrower angle here, and I could scrape across. Call this excavate some of that, remove some of that paint. I can use the tip and I can scratch in lines, which is called sgraffito. And when I go real quickly like this, I get, it's more of a dry brush look. You get this brushier mark. So within all of these limitations and just doing lines, there's so much to explore. And the paint did go into those dots, not a whole amount, but over here where I'm brushing over, I'm seeing some of the dots from below showing through. So that's kind of nice. Okay, and that's it for the second line exploration.